Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another review. My name is Anthony Salic. Here we are with lOKI, Season 2, Episode 4. Big episode. All right, so let's break it down. So, this episode is a little bit confusing because there's a lot of time, like loops, and a little bit of understanding that you have to have with this episode. I've only seen it once. So I need to go back and probably rewatch it all over again, especially by the time episode 6 is about to drop, because I think we're going to have a better understanding of the story. So, the main concept of this episode is that where we last left off, they brought Victor Timely to the TVA, in which they're going to use his temporal aura in order to unlock the blast doors and create a solution for the temporal loom to be able to contain all of the different branches. And so this episode is about sort of the exploration of Victor Timely in the TVA. We also have a couple of things with Ravonna Renslayer and Miss Minutes. We actually get a pretty interesting thing in the beginning in which we get a flashback of He Who Remains and Ravonna. And essentially, what we learn is that during the multiversal war, He Who Remains had Ravonna Renslayer as like one of his generals in the army. And so she was able to successfully win for He Who Remains side during the multiversal war. So she was the one who sort of led the charge against the other different Kang variants. And it's pretty much she's the key player to He Who Remains victory in the multiversal war. Sorry, I had to take a break. And so we end up learning that essentially they don't need He Who Remains in order to conquer the TVA. They just need themselves, Miss Minutes and Renslayer. But they do need an army, and we get to that later on. So Victor Timely, we get back to Team lOKI. They're in the TVA. They're trying to find a way. We get a pretty cool, interesting concept in which Victor Timely and OB end up meeting each other. And there's a pretty much back and forth thing where without each other, they wouldn't have been in the place that they were. So, for example, Victor Timely learned all of his things through the TVA handbook, which was written by OB. But OB states that he wrote it because of all of the things that Victor Timely ended up coming up with. And so again, it's like a what came first, the chicken or the egg? What did Victor Timely create the TVA stuff first, or did OB create the TVA handbook first? Again, very confusing. A lot of timeline stuff related. But essentially, they come up with a plan in order to save the multiverse or save the different branches. The whole point is to expand the loom in order for it to contain all of the different branches. Because again, the loom is only meant to harness one timeline, so they're gonna try to expand it in order to be able to take an infinite amount of timelines, if that makes any sense. So we cut back to Ravonna, and we cut back to Miss Minutes. And man, let me tell you something. We get a pretty graphic scene where they try to convince all of the rogue TVA agents to join their side in order to take the TVA back. However, the leader of the group, Docs, doesn't agree with their ideology, essentially stating that they'll fight for the TVA, but they won't fight with Ravonna and Miss Minutes. And it leads into this pretty graphic, well, it's not graphic because they don't show it, but essentially Ravonna ends up trapping them all in a box and she crushes them, similar to what lOKI was going to do with Brad in episode 2. Or was it 3? I don't know. Was it 2 or 3? I think it was 2. So yeah, they do all of this stuff. It gets graphic. Brad ends up leaving with Ravonna. And we pretty much get this really, really graphic scene that isn't shown, but it's greatly done through like audio and visuals without actually showing gore. Cut back to Victor and lOKI. They find a way to come up with a solution. And all of a sudden, when Victor wants to be interested within a hot cocoa machine, he's kidnapped by Brad and Miss Minutes and Ravona. They interrogate him. They try to find out what's happening, and essentially, um, he's just trying to stall for time. And lOKI and Sylvie, they come up with this plan in order to save him. But the plan that they do is sort of a bit tricky because, again, I have to go back and watch this episode because I was really, really, really confused at some moments, but it definitely was worth it. I can't remember if this was before or this was after Victor Timely's save. I think it was before, but they enter a time loop through the one that lOKI was going through during the first episode, in which he encounters Sylvie through the elevator, and in which the lOKI that we were following gets pruned. Well, here we get the other side of it, in which we see Sylvie's and the other lOKI's perspective on the thing. And so, again, I'm gonna have to go back. Hopefully, by the next episode or by episode 6, I'll be able to tell you guys how it all really went down. But it was still great nonetheless. They capture Brad. They mind wipe him. He prunes Ravona. So Ravona is out of the picture for now. I still think that she's going to be a key player in the ending, in which episode 6. They get Victor Timely back. They're ready to do their plan. lOKI is about to suit up in order to go into the loom to fix it. Victor Timely ends up switching with him and decides, hey, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the damn thing. He goes in and he immediately gets vaporized. It is one of like the most shocking moments like I think we've ever done. I mean, Victor Timely just dying out of nowhere like that was like so unpredicted. So we get the ending. And I'm just going to quickly brush through it because I think that we're going to have a lot to talk about, especially next week. The loom, the temporal loom, explodes. And everyone who was in the room, so lOKI, Sylvie, Mobius, Hunter B15, QB, KC, they're all affected by this. And, you know, Victor Timely's dead, so they don't have a Kang aura or a temporal aura of Kang or any of his variants. Ramona and Miss Minutes, you know, Miss Minutes is offline. Ravona is dead. All right. She got pruned at least. So, again, we don't know what's going to be happening. And that's the scariest but also coolest part, because the fact that we're going to have to wait 6 days until the next episode, like I said, cannot wait. I'm going to end the short or the review right here just because, it ends on a cliffhanger. So we really don't know. I can theorize all day, but my computer's messing up and I want to get this review out quick. Overall, incredible episode. Love the performances. Tom Hiddleston, Jonathan Majors, and Ravona, the actress who played them, I think absolutely carried. Everybody else was really cool, and it was really nice to see everybody else interacting, but I love those three in particular. Those were the MVPs for me in this episode. Overall, I give this a 9 out of 10, especially with that cliffhanger. I want to give it a 9.5, but I think episode 5 and 6 are going to be able to do that. But great episode. I loved it. If you guys did too, be sure to hit a like, comment, and subscribe. My name is Anthony Salic, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.